Well, moving on now, data from the Statistics Office in South Africa shows that retail sales rose unexpectedly in March, boosting hopes that the country is set to avoid slipping into a technical recession in the first quarter of this year. The economy contracted 0.3% in the final quarter of 2016, and a second consecutive contraction would have pushed the economy into recession for the first time since the global financial crisis of 2009. Retail sales rose by 0.8% year-on-year in March, beating market expectations of a 0.7% contraction after falling by 1.6% in February. On a month-on-month basis, sales inched up by 0.3%, but were down 1% in the 3 months to March compared with the same period last year. And that's according to the statistics from South Africa. Well, the outcome in the retail sector follows surprise improvements in mining and manufacturing output. In the meantime, South African retail group Steinhoff says it's kicking off a process to separately list its African retail businesses on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. The company plans to continue to hold a controlling stake in the unit following the listing, which will include a capital increase and be completed in the third quarter of 2017. Away from South Africa to Zambia, where the government is close to reaching an agreement with mining companies over plans to increase electricity prices. The country's finance minister, Felix Mutati, says the government has concluded with all the mining houses except one to pay 9.33 cents per kilowatt. Last week, Zambia's Energy Deregulation Board approved a 75% increase in price of electricity for retail consumers. And in Rwanda, the telecom industry regulator has fined MTN Rwanda $8.5 million for running its services outside the country in breach of its license. The regulator said in a ruling posted on its website that MTN Rwanda was hosting its services hub in Uganda, which it had prohibited. MTN Rwanda says it's the Central African country's leading mobile operator with 4 million subscribers. It's 80% owned by the MTN Group, while the remaining 20% is listed on the Rwanda Securities Exchange. The telco has also confirmed receiving a notification about the fine and says it's currently studying it and will continue to engage with the regulator on this matter. Last year, MTN, which operates in 20 countries, set aside $600 million to pay a fine imposed by the Nigerian government for not disconnecting unregistered SIM cards. And the Zimbabwean government has announced plans to build a $200 million platinum refinery next year in a joint venture with Australia's Caltech Limited. The Southern African nation holds the world's biggest deposit of platinum after South Africa and has been pushing mining firms operating in the country to build refineries to stop the export of raw platinum ore. And let's bring things back here in Nigeria, where refineries processed 10 million barrels of crude oil in the first quarter of the year, and that's higher than the 8 million barrels produced in the 2015 calendar. The production was successful as a result of interventions in the South-South oil producing region through dialogue with militants, which reduced attacks on oil facilities. Last year's militancy cut crude output by over 50%, producing only 24 million barrels. According to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the 10 million barrels seen in the first quarter equates the 111,000 barrels per day of the refinery's capacity. Well, we're staying here in Nigeria, and let's go to Nigeria's equities markets, where Rotimi Fakayijo, the CEO and trader at Enterprise Stockbrokers, is with us on telephone to talk about the stock market before the 2:30 p.m. closing bell. Good afternoon, Rotimi.
Good afternoon, Bishi.
So what's the mood at the market at this time? Is the bullish momentum being sustained?
Well, the bullish trend is still very much on, and is cutting across almost for every stock except for consumer goods. So far in the intraday trading, we've traded about 253 million shares, for a value of 6.187 billion naira. And it is more than 200% above what we had yesterday. And I think with this kind of position, it's likely that more investors are definitely putting their eyes on the market.
So where are we likely to see the market in the coming days, especially for the rest of the week? Are we likely to see the positive sentiment continue?
Yes, we don't see an end coming to this quickly. And even if we don't see much of a gain per day, definitely there won't be any sharp reversal of the gain that the market has recorded. We are still expecting that the market will still cross about 9,000 basis points before the end of this month. And we hope that that definitely will come quickly. So we are all hoping that the kind of volume and value being done on a daily basis is quite enough to be able to give us the confirmation and also the confidence that the market has got to stay.
Over to me, Fakaijo, CEO and trader at Enterprise Stock Brokers. Thank you for giving us updates from the Nigerian equities markets. Well, we're moving on now. Tullow Oil says it plans to drill new wells and boost output at its 10th field off Ghana to 80,000 barrels a day once a maritime dispute between Ghana and Ivory Coast is resolved. The British company's managing director in Ghana, Mr. Charles Darko, told shareholders in Accra that the company will also invest in exploring possible new Ghana reserves in addition to its Jubilee and 10 fields. The offshore 10 field poured its first oil in August last year, and the partners say they need to drill at least 6 more wells to reach its potential. Production at Ghana's flagship offshore Jubilee field stands at around 100,000 barrels per day. Ghana, which also exports cocoa and gold, is hoping to use increased oil and gas output to boost its gross domestic product and create jobs. Business Incorporated returns in just a moment. Please stay with us.